At what point were you like, something's wrong? Like, this is more than just a fever.
She felt my forehead and she's like, okay, I think you have a fever. Took my temperature and it was 102.7. So I had a really high fever.
What's normal?
98. Like 102 is really high fever.
Yeah.
So my mom's like, all right, we got to go to the doctor. And she said that there's a picture of me that I sent you that I look like Jay Leno.
Did you save the photo?
Yeah, I have it.
Okay, I'll put it on the screen so people can see.
I looked so bad.
Dude, you looked like you were about to die.
I thought I was going to die. Like I was in so much pain. I was super hot and sweaty. Oh, I was just
You
super
said
bad.
I was shocked when you said that was the worst pain you've had in your whole life.
I think that was the most uncomfortable I've ever been in my whole life.
That's pretty crazy.
It was so bad. And then so the first thing is my mom calls it's supposed to be like a dentist that's on call for like emergencies. We call them, they don't answer.
Classic.
So my mom calls our insurance and they're like, okay, you need to call 911. My mom's like, why can't I just take him to the ER? She's like, you have to call 911. So my mom calls 911. They're like, just take him to the ER. So my mom's like, all right. So my mom drives me to the ER and they look at me for like 5 minutes and they're like, yeah, you need to go to the hospital. So then I go to
ER different than the hospital?
Wait.
I thought the ER's out.
I went to urgent care. Sorry.
Okay.
They were just like, go to the hospital. So then I went to like
and urgent care is basically it's like a ER, but it's for like less serious
like doctor
stuff.
kind of like a regular doctor office.
Yeah.
Like I went to my regular doctor. And then they like admitted me to the hospital, but I had to wait for probably an hour in the lobby. And it was in an area, my mom said like a bunch of like homeless people go there and like it's right off of Aurora, if you know anything about Seattle, which is where all like the prostitutes and homeless
It's not
people
a good place.
It's not, no. So there is this dude in the lobby.
Why'd you guys go to that hospital?
It was the closest one. I don't know.
Okay.
Mom just took me there. I didn't even know where we were. I didn't know where I was. I asked my mom yesterday what hospital we were at because I didn't even know.
You were just so out of it?
I was so out of it. I didn't care. I didn't know where I was. I just needed help.
Yeah.
So
were you actually like losing it mentally, or like were you actually?
I was like in a state of survival. Like I was so out of it.
Like, do you remember walking into the hospital, or are there just parts that?
Yeah, no, I kind of remember walking. I don't remember really driving to the hospital.
So you weren't like blacking out?
No, but I was just so out of it that I felt like a zombie. Like I felt like I was going through the motions. Plus, I hadn't eaten in like 2 days because I couldn't chew anything.
Yeah, that probably didn't help.
So I felt so out of it anyways. And so we're in the doctor's office and this homeless guy is just sleeping.
Okay.
And then I see like the security guards come in and they're like, dude, what are you doing here? You can't just like sleep in the hospital like waiting room. And then he's like starting to yell at them and swear at them. And he made this whole thing. He's like, yo, you guys are racist, blah, 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 like trying to kick me out. And they're like, well, okay, well, why are you here? And he's like, I'm just waiting for a ride. But like no one was coming, so I don't know. And then he was yelling at people, and there was this like other dude that was just clearly really out of it, and he kept staring at the homeless guy, and the homeless guy was yelling at him. So it was just this whole thing in the waiting room. I finally get admitted. I finally get a bed after like sitting there for an hour. We were watching like UFC on TV, and the homeless guy kept changing the channel and like moaning. He like asked us if we're watching the UFC, and we're like, no. Like, I don't care what's on TV. Look at me. Look at my face right now. And he kept changing the channel and, like, kept moaning. I don't know. He was a weird dude.
So it was like you and your mom, and you're just surrounded by a bunch of weirdos.
Yeah. And eventually I get a bed, and they start just, like, I don't even know what they were doing to me. They were putting more needles in my arms, drawing blood. They shoved a Q-tip up my nose. Like, they were testing me for the flu because I had a fever.
Yeah.
My mom said that if you felt my face, or if you like held your hand probably an inch or two away from my face, you could feel heat coming off of it from the left side of my face and my neck.
So was it just the left side that was like swollen?
Yeah, it was just the left side.
So the right side was basically still normal.
Right side was like healing normally. It was the left side, which was the one they said had more trauma to begin with.
Yeah.
So this left side, it had like tripled in size. I looked like Jay Leno. I couldn't raise my head because it was so swollen and painful. I couldn't turn my head or raise my head because my neck and my jaw was so swollen and painful. And I was just in the hospital. This was probably around 5 o'clock. We went to the first doctor, and I probably got into the hospital around like 7 or 8.
Okay.
And they start kind of just giving me drugs and stuff. And
like, did they know right away that something was wrong?
Yeah,
or
they
they
did.
thought you just had the flu?
No, they knew something was wrong. nothing like this happens. Like
Yeah.
they looked at me and they're like, all right, dude, you're fucked up. Like, I don't know what's
So
wrong.
they like told you at the beginning that like something was up.
They had to, yeah. I mean, they had to test me for stuff. So I got like a CT scan. They had to send me in that little tunnel thing, and they had to look and see if I had like.
Oh, you went like on the full body tunnel?
Yeah. It
Oh,
was really weird.
that's dope.
Yeah. They had to inject the stuff. Dude, I had so many things. If you had seen my arms after I was done with the hospital, I looked like a heroin addict. Like I had tracks all over me from all the things that were injected into my arms, like blood drawn, like bandages ripped off and leaving marks,
Like
and
IVs and
so many
shit.
different IVs. They had to use like different holes from like 'cause I was in 3 different hospitals.
Yeah.
And then when I went into the CT scan, they put this like stuff in my blood that I think helps you like see in the CT scan, like see the results or something.
Okay.
And it makes you really warm. So I already had a fever,
And then you're
and
just
I
on
got
fire.
even hotter, and I'm just dripping sweat in there. And they're like, try not to swallow. That's another thing.
Try not to swallow.
Yeah, I don't know why. That's another thing. I couldn't swallow well because my throat hurt. I don't know why. I don't know if it was because of the infection or because of the surgery, but my throat hurt, and I had this like little tunnel of space in my mouth that I was able to like put water into because I was so like puffy.
Yeah. But when they gave you an IV, did it make you more hydrated? Like, did you?
Not really, no.
Oh, because one time when I was on the verge of passing out, and I went to an urgent care, and like I didn't know what was wrong, and they gave me an IV, and within seconds, I like wasn't thirsty at all. It was so weird because like the fluids just went directly into my blood or whatever.
Well,
It was cool.
they gave me IVs. I think they did at first. Dude, I had to pee into this like. I'll get to that later, actually. So, the IVs, they were mostly just putting medicine into me, but they were putting some fluids. But they told me I couldn't drink because they knew I was going to probably have surgery, so I couldn't drink or eat anything. And I was thirsty and hungry, but I couldn't eat anyways.
So at that point, they had already told you it is an infection.
Well, no.
Okay.
So they looked at. I also got an X-ray too, and I was getting wheeled around in this like gurney because I couldn't really walk. So they're wheeling me around the hospital.
Wait, in a gurney, like laying down?
Yeah, like in a bed. They were.
Why didn't they
wheeling
take
me
you in like
around.
a wheelchair?
I don't know. They probably just wanted to keep me in my bed. So I got wheeled around all around the hospital. People were like looking at me like, oh God, what's wrong with that guy? And they made me wear a mask because they thought I might have the flu, just as like a precaution, even though I clearly didn't have the flu. So I'm just that guy with the mask on, getting wheeled around the hospital.
Like a fucking zombie, dude.
Yeah, I felt like it. It was weird. And so they looked at the CT scan. And they're like, yeah, he doesn't have an infection. He doesn't have. They said like an abscess. That's what I ended up having. But they said no, we can't see anything.
Okay.
So then my on-call dentist finally, or like the surgeon finally comes. Wasn't even the guy that did the surgery. It was like the other guy. I don't know what happened to the first guy. Other guy comes and shows up. This is probably like 10 o'clock by now.
At night.
On
Friday.
Yeah, on Friday. And he shows up and he looks in my mouth and he has me open my mouth. I could open my mouth probably not even a centimeter. So he had to pry my mouth open to look inside, and it hurt so bad. I was like, tears were coming out of my eyes because I was in so much pain, and he was like digging around my mouth and like pushing on my like wisdom
Like how
teeth
wide?
holes.
Like open your mouth.
Like how wide could I open it?
Yeah, like can you recreate it?
I could probably do this. That literally is nothing. I couldn't do anything.
And they can't see shit if that's as far as you can
yeah,
open
so
it.
he
It's
used his fingers and like pried my mouth open, and the whole time I kind of felt bad for him because he knew that he was hurting me, and
yeah.
my mom said even like his face was just like really sad because he was just like injuring me while
But there's nothing.
but
you
he
can
had
do.
to look, yeah. So he was like pushing on something in my mouth, and I was like screaming.
You were screaming.
I was like like yelling because it hurt so bad. And he's like, yeah, so you have an abscess.
Which is what? Just an infection.
Just an infection, I guess.
Okay.
He said, I've never seen anything this bad happen this fast. I have no idea what happened, but this is really bad and you need emergency surgery. And I was like, okay. So then they try to rile up a team of surgeons that can do surgery on me like that night. He said this needs to happen as soon as possible.
Yeah.
They didn't really say like you're gonna die, but they really implied that like this is really dangerous.
Like so you truly thought like you could die.
I mean, if I didn't get it treated, because you see infections if they start spreading down closer to your heart.
Oh.
It was spreading down my neck, so Yeah. Then they come in and they're like prepping me for the surgery, and they're talking about how they're gonna do the surgery.
Okay.
He's like, I think I can do it through your mouth and just like basically hit to drain like pus and stuff out of this
Yeah.
because it's like infected. And he's like, I'm like 80% sure I can do it, but if not, then I'm gonna have to cut through your neck. And I'm like, whoa, you're gonna cut through my neck and like drain me basically?
That is when you texted us that, you're like, yeah, so guys, I'm at the hospital. Like at this point, I hadn't heard from you all day, so
Yeah.
I just assumed you were just chilling at home, whatever, watching TV. And then I get a text, you're like, hey guys, I'm in the hospital and they might have to do surgery through my neck. And I'm like, what the fuck?
Yeah, it all happened really fast. My poor mom was there the entire time. Like, yeah. So then they come and start prepping me for the surgery. They're like, all right, so we'll try going through your mouth. And they had me sign a waiver saying like it's okay to go through my neck if they need to. Luckily, they didn't need to go through my neck.
Thank God.
Or otherwise, I'd have just this giant scar. He's like, yeah, you'd have a permanent scar there. Like, it'd be pretty big.
That'd be kind of badass, though.
It would be kind of cool, but yeah, that would have sucked.
Yeah.
So then they're talking about how they're going to do the surgery. And this lady comes in who I think is another surgeon. And she was just so not confident. She was like, yeah, I think we can get this, like, because they have to put like a breathing tube down my mouth. They're like, we really can't open your mouth that much, but like, I think we could do it. So I guess we'll see. And I'm like, what? This is not what a surgeon should be saying.
Yeah.
They should be saying, yeah, I mean, I guess they got to be honest.
Yeah.
But
like,
I had no
freaks you out.
confidence. I was really worried. I don't know. They just,
So were they about to put you under for that, I assume?
yeah. So
But-
then they eventually, like an hour later, so probably around midnight, they did the surgery. They wheeled me out and they're like, say goodbye to your mom. And I was like, bye. thought I might never see her again. The way they explained it was, I didn't think it would be that long of a surgery, and neither did my mom. Apparently it took 3 hours, and my mom was waiting in the waiting room the whole time.
Oh my God.
Eventually they brought her in, and I remember waking up, or I remember them laying me down, and they put this mask over my face to like put me under. It was different than the first time. The first time they just put something in my arm.
So they do the breathing tube after you're already knocked out?
Yeah, they
and
like
all that
shove a
stuff?
breathing tube down my throat. And so they put this mask on. They're like, take deep breaths. And I remember them saying, Kyle, are you still there? And I was like, yep. And then next breath, don't remember anything.
All right. So then you wake up from
So
this
then I wake
surgery.
up so sweaty, like dripping sweat. Like I've never been so sweaty in my life. I don't know what happened.
Dude, your body was probably like in so much pain
Oh, yeah, I had a
subconsciously.
Pain and my fever was like, it ended up getting up to like 102.9, I think. So, yeah, and I was like really nauseous. So I was like gagging and
When you woke up, you were gagging?
yeah, because anesthesia can make you really nauseous,
okay.
especially if you're not supposed to have any food or anything, but like I didn't have any food in my system, so I'm like dry heaving
Yeah.
and I'm sweating. And she gave me this tube. The like nurse gave me this tube, you know, like at the dentist to like suck the water out of your mouth and the spit.
Oh,
little
yeah,
tubes.
yeah.
She just gave it to me and she's like, just keep sucking the blood and saliva out of your mouth. So I'm just sitting here.
So like instead of putting gauze in, it was just
no,
like
I had
suck the blood
I had
out.
gauze, but there was more blood and more saliva coming out. So she's just like, just keep using this thing.
So I assume your whole mouth was numb again.
Whole mouth was numb again, more gauze in my mouth, and then I have this tube because I can't really swallow because it was like a ton of gauze, like just shoved in my whole cheek.
Okay.
And so I'm just like sucking this thing out of my mouth.
It's what, like 3 in the morning?
It's like 3 in the morning. And I remember her like telling my mom, he really likes to suck the saliva out of his mouth. But in my head, I was kind of out of it. And maybe I was just doing it a lot. But I was like, you told me to do this. I don't know why you think it's so funny that I'm doing it.
I mean, it was probably, you mentioned before how if something's wrong with you, it like if anything physically is wrong,
Yeah.
it's like
It
on your
sucks.
mind all the time.
Yeah.
So when she said that, you're probably like, oh my God, I have to I
Yeah.
have to suck this.
I think, yeah, probably. But I was also noticing like I was drooling everywhere. Like I was numb. Just a mess. So then I'm like, I get it wheeled to another part of the hospital. I have my own room finally with like a bathroom and everything. But they kept having me, they didn't want me to move out of my bed to like go to the bathroom. So I kept peeing in this little container.
Okay. So luckily you didn't have to have a catheter.
No, I know.
That
They
would've
mentioned something about a catheter. I heard them mention it. And I'm so glad they didn't put it in or anything like that. I just heard them say the word catheter, and I was
You're like, no, no, no.
I was like looking around, like, is this something gonna go up my no? Luckily, I didn't have a catheter, to my knowledge. I might have had one when I was unconscious. I hope I didn't.
Might have been the first time something got shoved up your dick. You never know.
Could have been. They could have done anything to me, and I wouldn't have known. That's kind of what's scary. Because, like, I woke up in a different room, sweaty, so you don't know.
Maybe they just beat the shit out of you.
It felt like they did.
Maybe the reason your recovery took so long is because they just got mad and just started punching your unconscious
dude, and
body.
actually, my legs, still now, my legs are really sore.
Whoa.
I don't know why.
Dude.
After that, my legs
beat you up.
I think it's just because I hadn't moved, for a whole day.
Like muscle atrophy.
Like, literally didn't even move my legs. Yeah, so.
Okay, so
now I'm in the hospital.
Okay. How
part.
long between when the surgery ends and you get your own room to when you're like going back home?